Shen Qiao was sold by her own father into a wealthy marriage alliance to save the family company. Everyone in Beijing laughed at her, calling her a useless decorative vase pushed into the Lu family in place of her spoiled younger sister. But instead of feeling miserable, Shen Qiao was secretly overjoyed. After all, her future husband, Lu Huaiyu, was rumored to be cold, distant, incredibly rich, and unable to have children. To Shen Qiao, this marriage seemed like the perfect deal. She would become Madame Lu in name, enjoy unlimited spending with a black card, and live comfortably without the pressure of producing an heir. Lu Huaiyu, meanwhile, could use the marriage to silence his family's demands. But on their wedding night, everything began to go wrong. Lu Huaiyu was not as distant as the rumors claimed, and he had no intention of letting her sleep separately. Behind his cold and dangerous appearance, Lu Huaiyu quietly protected her, remembered her favorite almond cookies, and stood by her whenever others tried to humiliate her. Slowly, Shen Qiao realized that she might not be just a decorative vase placed inside a wealthy household after all. The real twist came when Shen Qiao discovered she was pregnant. Believing that Lu Huaiyu could not have children, she panicked, thinking she would be accused of betraying him. Terrified, she packed her suitcase and tried to run away in the middle of the night. But before she could escape, Lu Huaiyu caught her at the door and asked coldly, "Where do you think you're going, running away with my child?" Only then was the truth revealed. The rumor about Lu Huaiyu's infertility had been spread by him on purpose to avoid forced marriages. From the very beginning, the person he truly wanted to marry was Shen Qiao. From a neglected daughter sold by her own family, Shen Qiao suddenly became the precious treasure of the Lu family. The people who once mocked her as a useless decorative vase were left speechless when she became the mother of the Lu family's heir. This story follows Shen Qiao's funny, sweet, and dramatic journey from being treated like a sacrifice to becoming a woman cherished by the most powerful man in Beijing. She entered the marriage thinking money would be enough, but in the end, Lu Huaiyu gave her more than black cards, luxury, and status. He gave her protection, devotion, and the love she had never received from her own family. My own father sold me into the wealthy Lu family to marry their rumored infertile crown prince. All of Beijing laughed at me, calling me a useless decorative vase while I couldn't sleep for joy clutching my black card. Who would have thought that a month later, a pregnancy test would show 2 bright red lines? I packed my suitcase and fled in the dead of night, only to be caught by Lu Huai at the door. With a cold expression, he asked, "Running away with my child, where do you think you're going?" The day the Shen family decided to sell me, my father put on a pained face as if he were sacrificing a piece of his own flesh. Unfortunately, his acting was too terrible. He sat behind a red sandalwood table, intricately carved in his study, his fingers twirling an expensive string of prayer beads, sighing continuously. My stepmother stood beside him, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. Tears hadn't fallen yet, but her foundation was so thick it could be used as plaster. My half-sister Shen Wan hid behind her mother, her eyes red-rimmed, looking as delicate as a pear blossom kissed by rain. If I hadn't overheard her whispering to her best friend in the hallway, "Thank goodness I don't have to marry that sick man after all," I might have actually been moved by this fake sisterly affection. My father cleared his throat. "Chow chow. You know the company's situation hasn't been good lately. The Lu family has agreed to help the Shen Corporation overcome this hurdle, but the condition is a marriage alliance between our 2 families." I stood in the middle of the study, obediently lowering my gaze. "So who do you plan to give away?" The air froze for a second. My stepmother immediately grabbed Shen Wan's hand, her voice choked as if about to suffocate. "Chow chow, it's not that I'm favoring anyone. Wan has been frail since childhood. The doctor said she can't handle much stress. A complicated marriage into a prominent family like that, how could I bear to see her bullied? I almost clapped in admiration. Frail. Yet last night she was dancing in a club until 3 a.m. Truly a most flexible illness." My father put down his prayer beads, his voice heavier. "You're the elder sister, you should be understanding. Besides, although there are rumors about Lu Huaiyu, the Lu family is the leading clan in Beijing. Marrying into their family means you'll never have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of your life." A few rumors. How lightly he put it. Who in Beijing's elite circles didn't know Lu Huaiyu was the Lu family's crown prince who had taken control of a colossal business empire at the young age of 28? Exquisite looks, sky-high lineage, ruthless methods, and a personality as cold as ice. His only flaw was a congenital condition that prevented him from fathering children. In other words, marrying him meant becoming Madame Lu but never having an heir. For the daughters of prestigious families who desperately wanted to marry into such a household, this was a golden pit filled with poisonous snakes. It sparkled invitingly, but jumping in meant risking death. It was understandable that Shen Wan refused. She dreamed of becoming Mrs. Chin, bearing a brood of sons to solidify her status. I, on the other hand, was different. After hearing this, all I wanted to ask was, is there really such a good thing in this world? No need to bear children, no need to be nagged by a mother-in-law about grandchildren, no need to suffer a swollen belly and puffy legs like steamed buns. Most importantly, after marrying in, I would receive a monthly allowance substantial enough to buy half the shopping malls. Was this a marriage? No, this was clearly a high-class, well-paid decorative position with room and board and top-notch benefits. I tried my best to suppress a smile that was too obvious, raising my head to look at my father with just the right amount of sorrow. Father, do you really want to give me away? Shen Jiandong avoided my gaze. I'm doing it for the future of the whole family. Wonderful, the future of the whole family except for me. My stepmother hurried to intervene, afraid I would change my mind. Xiao Xiao, I know you're making a sacrifice. Wan Wan will definitely remember your kindness later. Shen Wan bit her lip, her eyes welling up with tears. Sister, I'm so sorry. If my health wasn't so poor, I would definitely take this burden for you. I looked her up and down. The latest haute couture dress, a limited edition crocodile handbag, a diamond necklace so bright it almost blinded me. A weak person, but very good at choosing expensive things. I smiled gently. It's okay, you just need to take care of your health. After all, your illness is very rare, only striking when it's time to get married. Shen Wan's expression froze. My stepmother glared at me and my father's face darkened. Shen Qiao. I immediately lowered my head, reverting to my docile appearance. I understand. I'll get married. The three people in front of me breathed a collective sigh of relief. How ridiculous! They thought they were pushing me into a burning fire, but this fire pit was lined with gold and a black card was waving at me from within. 3 days later, the wedding was held at the most luxurious hotel in Beijing. I wore a pure white wedding dress, my arm linked with my father's as I walked down the red carpet. Flanking the aisle were guests from prominent families, their eyes filled with pity, disdain, and curiosity, looking at me as if I were a discounted item at the end of the season. Some whispered, "The Shen family is truly heartless, pushing their elder daughter to marry Lu Huaiyu. They'd go bankrupt if she didn't marry. She's not favored anyway. Trading her for money to save the company is a good deal. What's being Madame Lu worth? She can't have children, so she'll eventually become a discarded decorative vase." I heard every word. A discarded decorative vase. Sorry, but even decorative vases have high-end segments. As long as that discarded corner is spacious enough and warm enough with a 200 square meter walk-in closet, I wouldn't mind spending my entire life in there. At the end of the red carpet, I saw Lu Huaiyu. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit. His tall frame erect his face as cold and sharp as a jade statue placed in snow. His deep-set eyes behind silver-rimmed glasses held no emotion. Truly beautiful. Too bad this display item doesn't come with the function of producing heirs. The officiant read the vows. I obediently replied, I do my voice so soft I gave myself goosebumps. Lu Huaiyu looked at me, his gaze brushing lightly over my face. I do. His voice was deep and cold like the sound of crystal clinking against stone. The guests applauded enthusiastically. I smiled perfectly, secretly calculating how much of the bride price I might get. That night, I officially stepped into the Lu family's villa. The elderly butler, dressed in a black suit, respectfully escorted me to the master bedroom. Before leaving, he placed a velvet box on the table. Madam, this is a gift from the young master. I opened the box. A black card lay inside, gleaming, alluring, more beautiful than any love poem in the world. The butler added at the opportune moment. The young master said, "Unlimited credit?" My soul was immediately enlightened by the glow of capitalism. All the humiliation, the contemptuous glances, the mocking words from the wedding melted away like smoke. I picked up the card, maintaining the composure of a noble Madame Lu. Thank you. The bedroom door closed. I couldn't hold back any longer, hugging the black card and rolling around on the large, cloud-soft bed. Wonderful. From today onwards, I am the happiest decorative vase in Beijing. As long as Lu Huaiyu lives up to the rumors, we will be nominal husband and wife by day, sleeping in separate beds at night with no interference. I enjoy the money, he maintains his reputation. Perfect. The bedroom door suddenly opened. I immediately sat up, hiding the black card behind my back. Lu Huaiyu walked in, his black shirt buttoned all the way to his collar, silver-rimmed glasses perched on his straight high nose. His gaze lingered on me for a few seconds, the corner of his lips slightly curved. Having that much fun, I blinked quickly, adopting the demeanor of a demure bride. No, I was just checking if the bed was wide enough for us to sleep separately. He slowly closed the door, the click of the lock very soft. For some reason, a chill ran down my spine. Lu Huayu took off his glasses and placed them on the nightstand, walking towards me step by step. Sleep separately. His voice deepened, becoming more dangerous. Shen Qiao, you've accepted my gifts, and you still want to sleep separately. The crystal chandelier in the bedroom cast light onto Lu Huayu's shoulders, bathing his black shirt in a delicate cold sheen. I sat on the bed, the black card still hidden behind my back, my palms starting to sweat. Something about this atmosphere was wrong, very wrong. According to my initial imagination, our wedding night should have been polite, distant, and as bland as a commercial contract. He would sleep on the left, I on the right, with a pillow placed in between as a boundary of ownership. Later, we would act affectionate in public and live our own lives at home. I would spend his money, and he would use the fact that we were married to silence the elders who were eager for grandchildren. A win-win situation. Peaceful coexistence, civilized and prosperous. Yet at this moment, Lu Huayu was looking at me as if I had just signed a clause for perpetual servitude. I swallowed, maintaining a gentle smile. Mr. Lu, I meant that with such a large bed, it would be more comfortable for each of us to have our own side. Don't worry, I sleep very well and will absolutely not encroach on your territory. He stopped at the bedside and looked down at me. Mr. Lu, his voice was very light, but it made my back prickle with thorns. I immediately corrected myself. Husband in name only. The corner of his lips twitched, not like a smile, more like a harbinger of a storm. Shen Tiao, you misunderstand our relationship. I hugged my pillow tightly to my chest, cautiously asking, isn't this a cooperative relationship? It's husband and wife, he said very slowly, each word clear. I almost blurted out a rebuttal. Husband and wife. One buys a decorative vase with money, and the other happily plays the role of a decorative vase. This was clearly a well-insured high society employment relationship. But looking at his indifferent face, I wisely swallowed my words. The wealthy call the shots. I switched to a softer strategy. I understand. Husband and wife it is. But you see, today is our first official meeting and we have no emotional foundation. Intimacy should be a gradual process. We can't rush. You're a big businessman, you must understand the principle of long-term investment better than I do. Lu Huayu looked at me for a while, his eyes too deep, as if he had seen through all the petty calculations in my mind. You're afraid of me. I immediately shook my head. Not at all. Then why are you hugging your pillow? To keep warm. It's 26 degrees in the room and my constitution is cold. He raised an eyebrow. I felt like I was running out of excuses. To save a shred of my dignity, I lowered my voice and spoke evasively. Actually, I'm just worried about your health. As soon as these words left my mouth, the room fell silent. Lu Huayu slowly sat down on the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping slightly, instantly narrowing the distance between us. The faint cedarwood scent from him mingled with my breath, clean, cold, yet with an indescribable pressure. He asked, worried about my health, how I bit my lip. To be direct would be impolite, to not speak might cost me my life. After 3 seconds of consideration, I chose the option that would cost me the least financially. The rumors outside say you have some biological issues. Lu Huayu's eyes darkened. I'm absolutely not prejudiced. Everyone has their own difficulties. Don't worry, I'm very discreet. If the elders ask about children later, I'll definitely take the blame myself. I can say it's because my constitution is weak, or I'm not ready to have children, or I'm afraid of pain, or I value my freedom. In short, I'll save your face. After saying this, I felt like a model employee, a decorative vase with excellent service attitude. Anyone who hired me would be blessed for 3 generations. Lu Huayu looked at me for a long time, so long that the smile on my face was about to harden into a mask. Then he chuckled, his laughter very low, very soft, yet it made my heart skip a beat. Shen Qiao, he called my name. What strange things were rattling around in my head? I'm not being defiant. I'm just thinking about the bigger picture. Your bigger picture is to get the black card and sleep separately from me. I choked. This sounds a bit ungrateful, but it's true. Just as I was about to find a retort, Lu Huayu reached out and took the black card from behind my back. His movement was so fast that I only managed to let out a small cry. That's my card. He held the card between his fingers, his eyes seemingly smiling but not taking it back. I nodded very honestly. He leaned forward slightly, the distance so close that I could see the long lashes casting shadows under his eyes. Say husband then. My scalp tingled. What kind of hidden clause was this? I looked at the black card then, at his impossibly beautiful face. My self-respect and my money waged a fierce battle for 3 seconds. Money won, absolutely. I cleared my throat and called softly, husband. Lu Huayu didn't hand over the card. Too soft. I gritted my teeth and forced out a sweeter tone. Husband, the corners of his lips curved more clearly. Very obedient. The card returned to my hand. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, he gripped my wrist. The temperature of his palm was much warmer than his cold exterior. His slender fingers tightened not forcefully but enough to prevent me from pulling away. I startled. What are you doing? Lu Huayu looked at me, his voice deepening. Fulfilling our marital obligations. The blood in my veins seemed to freeze. But didn't you? You can't have children. He leaned down, his breath brushing my ear, his voice so low it was almost a whisper. Not being able to have children doesn't mean I can't be a husband. My mind exploded. Wait, this logic sounded plausible but in a desperate way. I stammered, can we negotiate this? Yes. My eyes lit up. Negotiate how? Lu Huayu pulled the blanket beside him and draped it over my shoulders. His movements so leisurely, they were like handling an important contract. You get to choose. I immediately became vigilant. Choose what? Call me, Mr. Lu, all night. He paused, his gaze falling on my lips. Or, call me husband. I fell silent. Was this called a choice? These were clearly two paths leading to the same pit. Lu Huayu raised his hand, his fingertip gently brushing a strand of hair that had fallen onto my cheek. The movement was so light, yet it made me so tense I couldn't breathe. Shen Qiao, from the moment you stepped into the Lu family, no one can bully you anymore. I was stunned. He looked directly into my eyes. Not the Shen family, not outsiders, and certainly not me. The frantic beat of my heart slowed slightly. His voice was still cold, but his words felt like a warm cloak draped over the shoulders of someone who had just walked through a snowstorm. Before I could decipher the feeling in my heart, he continued, but sleeping separately is not allowed. I immediately became alert. The momentary warmth I felt was instantly extinguished. Lu Huayu, you're too dictatorial. It's a bit late to realize that now. He leaned closer. I panicked and used my pillow to block my chest. Wait, at least give me some time to mentally prepare. I had 3 days from the time I agreed to the marriage. In those 3 days, I was busy picking out handbags. Lu Huayu chuckled softly. This time, his smile wasn't as cold as before. Instead, a faint hint of helplessness flickered within it. Married a wife with great potential indeed. I seriously corrected him, very much in need of money. He looked at me for a few seconds, then reached out and dimmed the lights in the room. The light softened, leaving only a warm, golden glow from the nightstand. He pulled me into his arms and my entire body stiffened like a plank. But unexpectedly, he didn't press further. He just held me, his chin resting lightly on the top of my head, his steady breath falling close by. Sleep. I blinked. Just sleep? Disappointed? No. I replied so quickly I almost bit my tongue. Lu Huayu chuckled softly, his chest vibrating slightly behind me. I'll let you off tonight. There'll be plenty of time later. I hugged the black card tightly in my hand, closed my eyes, and told myself to stay calm. At least tonight I was safe. At least the black card was still mine. At least this decorative vase position, while more dangerous than imagined, was indeed not bad. In the middle of the night, I was drowsily drifting off when I heard Lu Huayu ask very softly, Shen Chao, do you like money that much? I was so sleepy I couldn't even open my eyes and replied casually, yes, I do. Money doesn't abandon me, and it doesn't force me into arranged marriages. The silence behind me lasted for a long time. A warm hand pulled the blanket up to cover my shoulders. His voice echoed in the darkness so low it seemed to meld into the night. From now on, I won't abandon you either. I didn't hear clearly. Or perhaps I heard clearly, but sleep had already pulled me under before I could react. All I knew was that this wedding night was nothing like I had imagined. No separate beds, no strictly platonic relationship, no ice-cold distance as rumored. The worst part was waking up the next morning to find myself nestled comfortably in Lu Huayu's arms, his hand casually around my waist, holding me tightly. On the nightstand, my phone lit up. A banking notification announced the first installment of my living expenses had been received. I looked at the dizzying string of numbers and immediately settled back down. Okay, if you want a hug, then hug. The first installment of living expenses from the Lu family made me lose sleep for precisely 3 minutes. Not out of excessive emotion, but because I was busy counting the zeros. After confirming I wasn't hallucinating, I lay in Lu Huayu's arms, my phone in hand, feeling strangely calm. Indeed, a person needs to know how to adapt. For instance, I never imagined I could share a bed with a man I had been married to for less than 24 hours and still sleep soundly. But once my bank account was illuminated by the glow of capitalism, all my petty principles became quite flexible. Lu Huaiyu woke up before me. He wore a dark gray silk robe leaning against the headboard and reading financial news on his tablet. The morning light illuminated his sharp features, making him look like a terracotta statue in a museum. Beautiful, yes, but this statue knew how to hug someone last night and hug very tightly. The moment I stirred, his gaze fell on me. "You're awake." I immediately sat up, pulling the covers to hide my body, and adopting the dignified posture of a young lady from a prominent family. "Good morning, Mr. Lu." No husband. The last word almost choked me. Lu Huaiyu seemed quite pleased. He put down his tablet and casually handed me another card. "The card from yesterday is for small expenses. This one is for buying real estate yachts or private jets." I accepted the card with both hands. My respect for this marriage immediately rose to a new level. "Don't worry, I'll definitely maintain the image of Madame Lu very well. No need to keep it too pristine." He got out of bed, his voice indifferent. "If anyone bothers you, tell me." I blinked. "Are you going to go reason with them?" Lu Huaiyu fastened his cuffs, his expression calm. "I'll make sure they never have a chance to hear reason again." Truly, a CEO from the legends. Talking about rule of law sounded very vague. The first breakfast at the Lu family's lavish mansion was so extravagant it almost made me forget I was once the neglected daughter of the Shen family. The long dining table was laden with bird's nest porridge, steamed milk cakes, salted eggs, white mushroom soup, and imported fruits stacked in a small pyramid. Just as I was about to maintain my image of eating like a sparrow, Lu Huaiyu pushed a plate of pastries towards me. "Eat," I replied politely. "I'm not very hungry." My stomach, however, betrayed me with a loud growl. The butler standing nearby bowed his head, his shoulders trembling slightly. I pretended not to hear. Lu Huaiyu didn't expose me either, merely saying, "Slowly. Eat well so you have the strength to spend money." That line struck directly at my soul. I picked up my chopsticks immediately. The breakfast ended in a harmonious, albeit false, but genuinely filling meal. Afterward, Lu Huaiyu drove me back to the Shen family for a formal visit. The black Rolls-Royce stopped in front of the Shen villa's gate. My father and stepmother were already waiting, their smiles brighter than headlights. Shenwan stood behind them, her gaze flitting from the diamond ring on my finger to Lu Huaiyu. She had once called him sick, and now seeing his face and aura up close, the regret in her eyes was almost overflowing. My father beamed, his wrinkles forming layers. "Huaiyu Chow Chow, you're back. Come in quickly, I've prepared some fine tea." Hearing the familiar Huaiyu, I got goosebumps. Just yesterday, he was trembling in fear of this son-in-law as if the king of hell were demanding his life, and today he was addressing him by name like an old family friend. Truly, filial piety might be shallow, but the love for investment capital always burns bright. As soon as we entered the living room, my stepmother grabbed my hand, her smile as kind as ever. "Chow Chow, did you sleep well last night? Are you accustomed to the Lu family? I worried about you all night." I looked at her. A person who could worry about me all night, yet sleep a full 8 hours with rosy cheeks and an unsmudged lipstick. I smiled. "Very accustomed. The Lu family's beds are very soft and the cards are very beautiful." My stepmother choked slightly. Shen Wan interjected, her voice as sweet as over-diluted syrup. "Sister, how is my brother-in-law treating you? I heard from others that he has a cold personality, so you must feel a lot of pressure." As she spoke, she glanced at Lu Huaiyu, her eyes filled with pity as if she wanted to suffer his hardships in my place on the spot. I picked up my teacup and calmly replied, "It is a bit stressful." My stomach growled, loudly interrupting me. "There's too much money to spend each month. I'm afraid I won't be able to spend it all and will disappoint my brother-in-law." The smile on her face cracked. Lu Huaiyu, sitting beside me, suddenly gave a soft cough. I glanced at him. The corner of his lips was clearly twitching with suppressed laughter. My father quickly steered the conversation back to the main point. "Huaiyu, about the resort project in the southern part of the city. I wonder if the Lu Corporation could possibly—" Lu Huaiyu interrupted him concisely. His face hardened. He placed his teacup down, his voice indifferent. "The Lu Corporation does not invest in empty shells." My stepmother hurried to mediate. "We're all family. Business matters can be discussed slowly. Xiao Xiao, you should put in a good word for your father too." All eyes turned to me. Back at the Shen families, I was the least influential person. Now they expected me to open my mouth to save the company. Life truly likes to play humorous tricks in such a grand way. I put down my teacup and looked at Lu Huaiyu seriously. "Husband, can I put in a good word?" My father's eyes immediately lit up. Lu Huaiyu looked at me. "You want to help." I shook my head. No. I just wanted to ask politely. The living room fell so silent that the clinking of spoons against cups was audible. Lu Huayu finally couldn't hold back and let out a soft chuckle. He stood up and took my hand. Then let's go home. My father hurried after us. Chow chow, you can't be so heartless. After all, I raised you. My steps faltered at the doorway. I looked at him, the smile on my face fading. You raised me and then sold me when the company was in trouble. This kindness is too great. I'm afraid I can't repay it. Shen Zhendong's face turned pale. Lu Huayu squeezed my hand lightly, saying nothing but his presence alone was enough to make the entire Shen family hesitate to take another step. On the way back, I sat in the car watching the city lights recede outside the window. I should have felt smug, but there was a subtle emptiness in my heart. Lu Huayu suddenly handed me a small cake box. Want some? I opened it. Inside were almond cookies from Beijing's most famous bakery. I used to really like these, but no one in the Shen family ever remembered. I picked up a piece and took a slow bite. The sweet, soft taste spread across my tongue. When did you buy this? On the way to the Shen family's. I knew you liked this kind of thing, Lu Huayu said calmly, looking at the documents in his hand. Guess. I looked at his cold profile and suddenly felt the pastry in my mouth was a little sweeter than usual. That evening, news of our formal visit spread throughout the elite circles. Someone must have captured the image of Lu Huayu holding my hand as we left the Shen family, even opening the car door for me. The groups of ladies immediately erupted into a frenzy. Some claimed Lu Huayu was just acting, while others said I was lucky to have snagged a good deal. The more venomous ones even bet on how long I would last as Madame Lu before being discarded. I lay on the sofa in the bedroom, eating almond cookies and reading the gossip completely unfazed. Bring it on. The more people eagerly anticipate my downfall, the more aggressively I'll spend money just to annoy them. Lu Huayu emerged from his shower, saw me smiling mischievously at my phone, and frowned. What are you looking at? The world's envy of my decorative vase job. He walked over and took my phone out of my hand. Stop looking at meaningless things. I'm indignant. That's my spiritual pleasure. I'll have someone take you shopping tomorrow. I immediately sat up straight. My spiritual pleasure can be converted into material pleasure. Lu Huayu looked at me, a faint amusement glinting in his eyes. That night he still slept with me. I gradually shifted from my initial stiffness to a breathing pillow, even finding a comfortable position. Before sleeping, I seriously summarized my married life. The Shen family was terrible. The elite were gossipy. Lu Huayu was more dangerous than the rumors, but his money was incredibly fragrant, and his almond cookies were delicious. For now, this well-paid decorative vase position was definitely worth maintaining. A month after marrying into the Lu family, I had learned 3 essential truths for survival. First, Lu Huayu's money was truly easy to spend. Second, people in high society were truly idle. Third, the rumors about Lu Huayu were probably only half true. Which half was hard to say. But the man who wore his shirt buttoned to the collar every day with silver-rimmed glasses and looked as cold and ascetic as a prohibition professor was completely unlike someone who needed to preserve his health once the bedroom door was closed. I seriously asked him one day, "Do you need to get checked again?" Lu Huayu, who was reading a financial report, didn't even lift his eyelids. Checked for what I tactfully said, to see if the rumors outside are exaggerated. He put down the document and looked me up and down. You still have the energy to care about that. I immediately shut my mouth. A sensible person is one who can spend a lot of money for a long time. My life as a decorative vase had become quite busy lately. In the mornings I slept until I naturally woke up. For lunch I ate meals prepared by the Lu family's Michelin-starred chef. In the afternoons I went to spas, shopped, tried on dresses, and occasionally appeared beside Lu Huayu at parties to fulfill my exhibition duties. The wealthy ladies looked at me with a mixture of envy and pity. Envy because I had an unlimited black card, pity because they were certain I couldn't produce an heir for the Lu family. I wasn't sad at all. In fact, I wanted to thank them for reminding me. This job had no reproductive quotas. Wonderful. Until the 37th day after the wedding, I sat on the edge of the sink in the bathroom holding a pregnancy test, my eyes fixed on the 2 bright red lines that had appeared clearly. The air seemed to freeze. My hands trembled, and the test stick dropped with a thud onto the tile floor. 2 lines, 2 bright red lines, so red they seemed to be writing 4 big words on my face. Disaster is imminent. I leaned on the sink, taking several deep breaths. Stay calm, Shen Qiao, stay calm. The test might be faulty. Maybe I misread it. Or maybe the manufacturer intentionally printed 2 lines to encourage human reproduction. I changed my clothes, put on a mask, sunglasses, and a silk scarf, covering myself completely like a celebrity on a secret date, and rushed to 3 different pharmacies to buy 10 more test sticks. Half an hour later, a long line of 11 pregnancy test sticks was arranged on the sink in the Liu family's bathroom. All showed 2 lines very uniformly, very professionally, and very eager to send me to an early grave. I sat on the floor, my head in my hands, and the image of Lu Huayu's cold face flashed in my mind. It's over. I'm done for. All of Beijing knew he couldn't have children, and now his wife was pregnant. In any prominent family, this would be a potential murder case. I began to seriously recall the past month. Did I accidentally drink something strange? Did I touch any suspicious items? Was I given a secret treatment at the hospital spa? Or was the pool at the elite club truly unsanitary? No, that's not right. I slapped my forehead. I'm not a goldfish. How could I swim a lap and suddenly get pregnant? But where did this baby come from? Had human biology somehow evolved while I was busy swiping my card to buy handbags? The more I thought about it, the more desperate I became. To be sure, that afternoon I secretly went to another private hospital for a checkup. The doctor looked at the test results, his gentle face as benevolent as the bodhisattva distributing gifts. Congratulations, madam. You are approximately 6 weeks pregnant. I almost slid off the chair. 6 weeks. Calculating back, it was indeed after our wedding night. But the problem was, Lu Huayu had that condition. I walked out of the hospital in a daze, clutching the result paper. The wind outside was so cold, it sobered me up completely. No, I couldn't let Lu Huayu know. That man was already terrifying enough. If he discovered I was pregnant while he was rumored to be infertile, he would surely look at me with eyes as sharp as a cleaver and then order someone to throw me into the sea as shark bait. I was still young. My wardrobe still had many dresses left unworn. Several limited edition handbags still had their protective film on. I absolutely could not die in such a wasteful manner. Of the 36 stratagems, fleeing is the best. That night, Lu Huayu had a transatlantic conference call in his study. The entire villa was quiet. I, the servant Ren, changed shifts and secretly pulled out the suitcase from under the bed. I packed a few simple outfits, all my precious jewelry, tucked the black card into an inner pocket along with cash, my passport, my ID, and the remaining almond cookies from the box. Everything went into the suitcase. As I was packing, I noticed Lu Huayu's black men's coat draped over the sofa. The familiar scent of cedarwood wafted through the air. My movements paused for a moment. In the past month, he hadn't been like a gentle fairy tale husband. He was cold, dictatorial, stole my snacks, and loved using his CEO voice to threaten me to sleep early. But he also remembered my preference for almond cookies and knew I hated the Shen family. Every time the ladies made veiled remarks, he would appear just in time, his cold face standing beside me like an expensive city wall. I squeezed the straps tightly and pulled the suitcase. No softening. Softening means death. I wrote a short note and left it on the table. Lu Huayu, I apologize. I didn't mean to betray you. Perhaps this is a medical misunderstanding beyond human comprehension. You are handsome and rich. You will surely find another decorative vase wife who is better than me. Please don't hunt me down. P.S. I'm borrowing the black card temporarily as survival funds. I'll repay you when I have money. After writing it, I even felt quite ethical. At least I left a letter. At 2 a.m., I tiptoed out of the bedroom, suitcase in hand. The hallway was dim and so quiet I could hear my own heart pounding. As long as I crossed the living room, went out the side door, and got into the car I had prearranged outside the villa, I would officially escape this net. Just as I reached for the handle of the suitcase on the opposite sofa, the chandelier on the ceiling suddenly blazed to life. The entire living room lit up like a trial stage. My hand froze on the suitcase handle. When had Lu Huayu gotten there? He was sitting on the sofa wearing a black bathrobe, his hair still slightly damp, holding the note I had just left. His face was expressionless, but the surrounding atmosphere was so cold I suspected he had set the air conditioning to sub-zero. I swallowed. What a coincidence. Are you also up to admire the moon? Lu Huayu slowly raised his eyes, his gaze falling on the suitcase, then returning to my face. Shen Chao. His voice was very low. Where do you plan to run off to with my child, my card, my jewelry, my cookies? I froze. My child. Something in my brain screeched. Wait. Had a key point just veered off course. I stood in the middle of the Lu family's living room at 2 a.m., suitcase in my left hand, the strap of my jewelry bag in my right, my face clearly displaying 4 words. Failed escape. Lu Huayu sat on the sofa, the note, not quite a suicide note, lying between his fingers. His eyes were so cold I suspected if I breathed a moment too soon I'd be boxed up and shipped straight to the seaport. But his last sentence was even more terrifying. My child, he said, my child. I looked at him, my throat dry. What? What did you just say? Lu Huaiyu stood up, his black bathrobe rustling with his steps. His imposing presence made me instinctively step back half a pace. Do I need to repeat myself? Not necessary. I immediately raised my hands, being very sensible. I just wanted to confirm if I heard correctly. After all, in a life-or-death situation like this, the human brain is prone to producing illusions to comfort itself. The corner of his lips twitched. Shen Chao, you still know this is a life-or-death situation. I glanced towards the door. The main door was locked shut. 2 bodyguards stood on either side like stone statues, their faces devoid of emotion. I realized with despair that escaping today would only be possible if I sprouted wings. And given my luck, even with wings, I probably wouldn't fly faster than the Lu family's private jet. I took a deep breath, deciding to use an attitude of sincerity to seek leniency. Lu Huaiyu, listen to my explanation. I truly didn't betray you. My schedule for the past month has been very clean. Eating meals, sleeping, shopping, spa, attending parties with you, and being forced to sleep early by you at home. I was so busy I didn't have time to commit any crimes. He crossed his arms and looked at me. Then how do you explain the pregnancy? I choked. This was indeed a question that struck at the soul. I gritted my teeth. Perhaps it's a medical error. His eyes darkened. I quickly added, or the hospital mixed up the results. Or there was a batch of faulty pregnancy tests. Or the pool at the elite club had serious hygiene problems. The living room fell into a deathly silence. The butler, standing near the stairs, bowed his head very low, his shoulders shaking suspiciously. Lu Huaiyu looked at me as if I were a creature beyond human research. Shen Qiao. Besides money, does your brain contain pool water? I felt wronged. Then, what do you expect me to think? Everyone in Beijing says you can't have children. As soon as these words left my mouth, Lu Huaiyu's expression darkened. Not the kind of anger that wanted to kill someone, but more like his last shred of patience had been trampled by me and then sprinkled with salt. He took his phone and made a call, ordering a car to the hospital. I was so scared I hugged my suitcase and stepped back. What are you going to the hospital for? If you want to deal with me, we can negotiate a more civilized location. There are so many people in the hospital. It will affect Mr. Lu's image. Lu Huaiyu walked over and took the suitcase from my hand. To get checked. I've already been checked. Check again. He leaned down and picked me up directly. I instinctively hugged his neck in panic. Lu Huaiyu, I can walk myself? You'll run away if you walk yourself. You understand me too well. At 3 a.m., the Lu family's private hospital was lit up like daylight. A line of doctors in white coats stood at attention, their expressions a mixture of sleepiness and terror. The white-haired hospital director rushed over, his glasses askew. Mr. Lu, madam, please this way. I lay on the ultrasound bed, staring at the white ceiling, my mind already drafting my will. Who would inherit my handbag collection? Would the jewelry hidden at the bottom of the suitcase be confiscated? The black card with its remaining credit was such a shame. Lu Huaiyu stood beside me, one hand in his bathrobe pocket, his eyes fixed on the ultrasound screen. The doctor carefully examined the results, then broke into a radiant smile. Congratulations, Mr. Lu, madam is approximately 6 weeks pregnant, and her condition is very stable. I closed my eyes. The hammer had fallen, the verdict had been delivered. Before the doctor could finish, Lu Huaiyu asked, "Does it affect her health?" The doctor quickly replied, "There are no major issues at the moment. She just needs adequate rest, a relaxed mood, and careful eating." I opened my eyes and looked at Lu Huaiyu. Strange. He wasn't angry, wasn't smashing the ultrasound machine, wasn't ordering me to be dealt with. Instead, his expression showed a rare tension. He took the result sheet from the doctor and looked at it repeatedly. His movements as careful as if he were holding a contract worth billions. I shakily sat up. Lu Huaiyu. This can truly be explained. He turned to look at me. I'd like to hear what other explanations you can come up with. I choked for a moment and stopped trying to explain. I just want to ask one last question before I die. He frowned. Who said you're going to die? I pointed to the result. I'm pregnant, but you can't have children. Logically speaking. If I don't die, who will? The old director beside us cleared his throat and pretended to study the floor. Lu Huaiyu looked at me for a long time, then tapped my forehead lightly with the result sheet. It didn't hurt, but it was very embarrassing. Shen Qiao, even if you're silly, there should be a limit. I rubbed my forehead and glared at him. You're scolding me too. I'm the victim in this marriage scam. Marriage scam. You were rumored to be infertile. which is why I felt relieved marrying into the Liu family as a decorative vase. Now that I'm pregnant, it proves the product doesn't match the description. If this isn't a scam, what is it? Lu Huayu laughed out of frustration. He pulled a thin file from his pocket and threw it into my lap. Read this. I opened it. Inside was his health checkup. All indicators were normal. So normal that the doctor even noted his excellent fertility. I turned to stone. Those words were like an invisible slap to my money-loving soul. Impossible. I flipped through the pages. His previous year's checkup results were all there. I looked up. The rumors outside, I spread them. The reason was to avoid forced marriages. I was speechless. Lu Huayu leaned down, his hands resting on either side of the hospital bed, trapping me in his arms. The distance was too close. The familiar cedarwood scent enveloped me again. The Shen family wouldn't marry Shen Wan to someone rumored to be infertile. The one pushed out could only be you. My heart skipped a beat. That sentence contained too much information. I stared at him. You did it on purpose. He admitted it very calmly. From the very beginning, I wanted to marry you. The entire hospital room was silent. My face grew hot uncontrollably, but before my camdong could take root, my reason quickly slapped me awake. So you deceived me, yes. And I made you think you were about to be thrown into the sea? That was due to your overly fertile imagination. You didn't use protection. Lu Huayu was silent for half a second. For the first time, his gaze avoided mine slightly. It was my fault. The unexpected apology choked back my anger. He placed his hand on my belly, his movement so gentle. Shen Chao, if you don't want it, I'll respect your choice. But first, don't run away anymore. His voice deepened. Seeing you with your suitcase last night, I was truly scared. I was stunned. Lu Huayu gets scared. The man who always seemed cold, dangerous, and unshakable. Now, standing before me, his eyes were deep, his hand on my belly so careful it was almost clumsy. A small corner of my heart softened, mostly because he was handsome and rich. I cleared my throat, trying to maintain a serious demeanor. So, what about my allowance from now on? Lu Huayu looked at me. Double the prenatal nutrition is best. With unlimited shopping privileges. What if the Shen family bothers me? Leave it to me. I lowered my head, looking at my still flat belly, then at the result sheet in my hand. All right, the shark doesn't need to stay awake tonight. I'll keep my life, and I'll keep the black card. Plus, I've picked up an authentic Lu family baby. From an investment perspective, this was not a loss. Lu Huayu saw my silence and frowned slightly. What are you thinking about? I replied honestly. I'm calculating how much the maternity allowance should increase when carrying the Lu family's heir. The old director turned away, his shoulders shaking. Lu Huayu looked at me for a moment, then leaned down and lightly kissed my forehead. Greedy. I hugged the ultrasound results and seriously corrected him. It's called having a sense of family asset management. The corner of his lips curved. All right, Madam Lu. From today onwards, you manage. I blinked. Manage what, me, the baby, and the Lu family name? The notification sound on my phone suddenly rang out clearly. Outside the hospital window, it was still dark. But for the first time since marrying into the Lu family, I didn't feel like a decorative vase bought and placed in a corner. On the way from the hospital back to the villa, I clutched the ultrasound results in my hand, my mood as complicated as winning the lottery from a con artist. Lu Huayu sat beside me, his back straight, his face as cold as usual. Only his eyes would drift down to my belly every few minutes, very discreetly. But I noticed all of them. My belly was still flat, no different from yesterday. He stared intently as if a little genius were already inside reading financial reports. I held it in for a while, then couldn't resist anymore. What are you looking at? Lu Huayu calmly replied. My child. I lowered my head to look at my belly. Are you using X-ray vision? The driver in front coughed. Lu Huayu glanced at me, the corner of his lips slightly curved. Be quiet for a moment. The doctor said to maintain a stable mood. My mood was very stable if my husband hadn't faked his illness to marry me. He remained silent. Very well, I've discovered that as long as I mention this, the high and mighty crown prince temporarily loses his right to object. The feeling of holding a capitalist's weakness was truly exhilarating. As the car stopped in front of the villa, the main door swung open. The butler led a line of staff standing in 2 rows. The lights in the house were blazing, fresh flowers had been replaced, and a red carpet flowed from the main entrance all the way to the living room. I was bewildered. Was a head of state visiting Lu Huayu got out of the car and bent down to pick me up. I instinctively hugged his neck in panic. I can walk myself. The doctor said to limit strenuous activity. Walking 1 step is strenuous. For you it might be. I was speechless. The butler bowed deeply as soon as he saw us, his voice so excited it trembled. Congratulations, young master. Congratulations, young madam. Immediately after the sound of a cane tapping echoed from the living room, Grandpa Lou, the patriarch of the Lou family, over 70 years old but with an aura that could make a negotiation table tremble, was now moving so fast he almost slipped. Where is my good daughter-in-law? Let me see her. Lu Huaiyu's face turned cold. Go slowly, Grandpa. Move aside, grandson. I've seen you for 28 years. I'm tired of looking. With that, he pushed his own grandson aside and looked down at me with eyes sparkling like he'd found a mobile diamond mine. Chow Chow, are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? Are you nauseous? Do you want to eat anything? Butler. Quickly call the chef to prepare a prenatal diet menu. Before I could answer, my mother-in-law hurried over. Mrs. Lu was known as the cold noblewoman. Before, she had only given me a perfunctory nod. Now she held my hand, her eyes red-rimmed. How could you run around so late at night when you're pregnant? If you want to go anywhere later, just call me. I'll send a helicopter for you. I looked at her, and then at Grandpa Lou. The speed at which their attitudes changed made me feel as if I were carrying not a pregnancy but the controlling shares of the Lou Corporation in my womb. No, it was almost like that. My father-in-law, who was on a business trip abroad, made a video call as soon as he heard the news. The moment the screen appeared, he said sternly, Chow Chow, you've been through a lot. I've already instructed the lawyers to prepare the transfer of 5% of the Lou Corporation's shares to your name as a welcome gift for my grandchild. I took a sharp breath. 5% of the Lou Corporation's shares. This wasn't a welcome gift, it was a golden money printing machine. I unconsciously looked at Lu Huaiyu. He simply nodded calmly. Accept it. Grandpa Lou immediately refused to be outdone. What's 5%? Butler, call my lawyer. 3 villas in the city center, 2 private islands, plus a trust fund in Chiao's name. My mother-in-law took off the jade bracelet from her wrist and without a word put it on my wrist. This is the Lou family's heirloom bracelet. I should have given it to you on your wedding day. I was foolish then. Please don't hold it against me. I looked at the pile of assets that had fallen from the sky, feeling so lightheaded I thought I was floating on a sea of money. If Lu Huaiyu wasn't holding me, I would have knelt down and called out to my ancestors right then and there. Grandpa Lou looked back at him, his expression changing as quickly as turning a page. And you, grandson, from today onwards, you are forbidden to let Chiao get tired. Handle company matters yourself. Don't bring them home to disturb her and the baby. Lu Huaiyu replied indifferently, I know all those late-night meetings are also pointless. The bedroom needs a softer mattress, the carpets need to be non-slip, handrails need to be installed on both sides of the stairs, and the entire villa needs to be inspected. They've already sent people to do it. I was dizzy listening. As expected of the wealthy, ordinary people buy extra milk for pregnant women when they hear the news. The Lu family, upon hearing the news of a pregnancy, decided to renovate the villa. Lu Huaiyu carried me to the room and placed me on the bed as if I were a fragile artifact. Less than 10 minutes later, a team of nutritionists, obstetricians, psychologists, and prenatal chefs stood in front of me. I hugged my pillow, sitting in the middle of the bed, feeling like a national key project. The nutritionist asked, Madam, is there anything special you'd like to eat? I immediately replied, spicy hot pot. The entire room fell silent. Lu Huaiyu, standing by the door, his gaze chillingly swept over me. The nutritionist smiled stiffly. Early pregnancy should be light and bland. I'll change tactics. Then sour and spicy noodles. Lu Huaiyu interjected. No. Jectida. Fried chicken. No. Boba tea. No. I clutched my chest, looking at him heartbrokenly. Lu Huaiyu. Are you managing your wife or a prisoner? He walked over, pulled my leg, and draped it over my other leg. Managing someone who tried to run away with a suitcase at 1 a.m. I was speechless. This tactic was too dirty. He used my dark past to threaten me into sleeping early. Finally, the first late-night snack after I became pregnant was served. Pork rib soup with lotus seeds, bland, bird's nest porridge, steamed greens, and a plate of fruit cut beautifully like a work of art. I picked up my spoon, tears flowing into my heart. The baby wants spicy food. Lu Huaiyu pulled up a chair and sat beside me. The baby is only the size of a bean right now and doesn't have the right to order food. I was so angry I laughed. Then does the mother have the right? He took out his phone and made a few operations. Ding. My phone lit up. My account had received another colossal sum of money. Lu Huaiyu calmly said, The right to eat spicy food is temporarily exchanged for cash. I looked at the numbers on the screen. My craving for spicy hot pot suddenly subsided magically. It's not that I have no principles, but my principles know how to adjust to financial fluctuations. I picked up my spoon and seriously scooped some soup. Actually, lotus root is quite delicious. Lu Huayu looked at me, the corner of his lips curving slightly. Easy to please. I glared at him, thinking he was considering the family's overall interests. He didn't argue, just reached out and wiped a drop of soup from the corner of my mouth. The gesture was so natural it stunned me. His warm fingertip brushed lightly, and then withdrew. A tiny flutter arose in my heart, smaller than the bean in my belly, but I couldn't pretend it wasn't there. That night, the entire Lu family was in an uproar until dawn. Grandpa Lu ordered all the slippery floors in the villa to be replaced. My mother-in-law created a private group chat named Protecting Chow Chow and the Baby. My father-in-law sent over a dozen text messages asking which island I preferred in the tropics. And Lu Huayu, the cause of all this, lay beside me, his hand resting lightly on my belly. I tilted my head to look at him. Are you very happy? He was silent for a few seconds, his voice very low. Very happy. I pursed my lips. But I'm still angry about you tricking me. You can bring it up repeatedly. Each time I'll increase your allowance. Lu Huayu chuckled softly, pulling my legs onto his shoulders like Mrs. Lu. I closed my eyes, my lips involuntarily curving upwards. From a high-class decorative vase, I had unexpectedly been promoted to the Lu family's VIP treasure. This happened so quickly, but honestly, the feeling wasn't bad at all. Ever since becoming the VIP protection target of the Lu family, my life had undergone a sky-high transformation. For example, when I used to go shopping, I was only accompanied by a driver and an assistant carrying bags. Now, the moment I stepped out the door, I was immediately surrounded by 2 nannies, a nutritionist, 4 black-suited bodyguards, a butler in charge of noting my preferences, and a backup chef, ready to prepare prenatal porridge on the spot. I felt less like a pregnant woman and more like a panda being transported internationally. The most terrifying thing was Lu Huayu. He started reviewing my daily menu. Spicy food was crossed out, cold food was crossed out, boba tea was crossed out to the point of no return. I rebelled 3 times. The first time he increased my allowance. The second time he transferred a vacation villa into my name. The third time he calmly said, "You still want to argue? I'll buy the entire boba tea chain and change their menu to low-sugar nut milk." I immediately surrendered. It wasn't because I lacked integrity, but mainly because I was afraid of implicating millions of innocent boba tea fans. That day, my mother-in-law, fearing I would feel cooped up at home, specially booked me a prenatal spa treatment. The moment I heard the word spa, my spirits soared. Finally, I could escape the lotus root soup, bird's nest porridge, and Lu Huayu's watchful gaze. Before leaving the house, he stood at the door and adjusted my shawl. "Don't soak in hot water for too long." "I know." "Don't use essential oils of unknown origin." "I know." "If anyone says anything unpleasant, call me." I looked up at him. "Are you going to rush over and scold them?" Lu Huayu leaned down, his voice very calm. "I plan to buy the place." I gave him a thumbs up. The solutions of the wealthy were truly simple and expensive. He pinched my cheek lightly. "Go on, don't run around." I hugged my handbag and walked out, thinking to myself, CEOs with money are truly terrifying, but if that money is spent on me, then they're quite lovable. The spa resort was located in the center of Beijing, serving only VIP clients. The moment I stepped inside, the manager bowed with even more deference than if a dignitary were inspecting the premises. I changed into a robe and lay down on a bed so soft it made me want to sleep on the spot. Just as the attendant was applying a pearl mask to my face, a sweet voice rang out from beside me. "Oh, isn't this Madame Lu?" My blissful nap was shattered. I opened one eye. The person on the next bed was Xia Yanran, the daughter of the Xia family who had just returned from studying abroad. She was famous in high society for her title of beautiful and talented woman. I heard she had pursued Lu Huayu aggressively before, but was rejected so directly that she was embarrassed for months and didn't dare to go out. Now, the beautiful and talented woman was looking at me with an expression as if she were looking at a counterfeit bag next to a genuine one. Beside her were several wealthy ladies drinking tea, and the moment they saw an opportunity for gossip, they all perked up their ears. Xia Yanran curved her lips. "Long time no see, Sister Shen. You seem to have gained a bit more weight, haven't you? It seems being Madame Lu makes you quite happy." I closed my eyes. "Moderately so. I eat 5 meals a day. It's a bit difficult to lose weight." She covered her mouth and chuckled softly. "You truly know how to enjoy yourself. It's a pity that Brother Huayu is already struggling enough, carrying the entire Lu Corporation alone, and he still has to support a wife who only knows how to spend money at home. Thinking about it makes me pity him." The ladies around exchanged glances. I'm too lazy to argue with myself. If you pity him so much, why didn't he marry you back then? Xia Yanran's smile froze. The air fell silent for 2 seconds, and one lady almost spat out her tea. Xia Yanran took a deep breath, quickly regaining her saintly demeanor. You misunderstood. I just feel Brother Huayu has it tough. Even though he has some biological drawbacks, a wife should know how to share the burden. You can't help with his career and you can't give him a child, so at least you shouldn't be so extravagant with spending. Bravo. You've directly hit the nerve of that rumor. The surrounding ladies began to whisper. That's true. Madame Lu spends a lot of money. If she can't have children, how can her position be stable? The Lu family will have to adopt an heir sooner or later. I slowly removed the mask and sat up. The attendant beside me looked pale with fear. I gently patted her hand, signaling it was okay, then looked at Xia Yanran. Miss Xia, you're only half right. You have to understand the hardship of being a wife. I clutched my chest, acting genuinely distressed. Every month, he throws a pile of money into my account and forces me to spend it all. The other day, I only bought 6 bags and he gave me a cold look, asking if I thought he earned little. You tell me, how stressful is it to be the wife of a rich man? One lady dropped her spoon onto her plate. Xia Yanran was so angry her mask slipped. What are you bragging about? Can money prove love? I thought seriously. It can't prove everything, but it can prove a high credit limit. You're truly shameless. Thank you. My thick skin allows for very economical maintenance. Xia Yanran choked until her eyes turned red. She stood up abruptly, her voice much higher. Shen Qiao, don't get complacent. Brother Huayu only married you to avoid trouble. A woman who can't bear children for the Lu family like you will be replaced sooner or later. I blinked. If Lu Huayu heard this sentence, this spa resort would probably change ownership. Just then, my phone rang, the caller ID clearly showing. Husband. That stingy ATM, I forgot to change the nickname. The ladies nearby immediately saw it, their expressions becoming incredibly interesting. I coughed and calmly answered the phone. Before I could say anything, Lu Huayu's deep, cold voice came through. That spa has a problem. I was stunned. How did you know? Your card hasn't had any transactions for half an hour. I fell silent. The other ladies were also silent. Xia Yanran's face turned pale. Lu Huayu's voice continued. I just bought that resort. The new manager will come to meet you in 10 minutes. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, fire them. If you're tired, have it renovated. Don't hold back. I looked at Xia Yanran. Xia Yanran looked at me. The silence was so profound that the sound of essential oil dripping into the tray could be heard. I slowly asked, Can I fire anyone? Lu Huayu didn't hesitate. Yes, anyone except you. I felt my money-loving heart being gently caressed. Get out. I hung up the phone and turned to the manager, who was sweating profusely. Did you hear that? The manager nodded frantically. Yes, madam. Clearly. I pointed to the next bed. Disinfect that area. I'm allergic to the scent of green tea. Xia Yanran stood up abruptly, her face turning from white to red, then to green. Shen Qiao, you're going too far. I smiled. Not at all. I haven't even charged you for disturbing my prenatal nap yet. The 2 words prenatal nap made Xia Yanran freeze. I immediately realized I had let my mouth run away with me. Fortunately, she was so enraged, she had lost her mind. Without thinking, she bit her lip, her eyes red, grabbed her robe, and stormed out of the spa room amidst the curious gazes of everyone. I lay back down and put the mask back on my face. The world was finally quiet. The attendant, trembling, asked, Madam, do you need anything else? I closed my eyes, feeling very good. Bring me a glass of mango juice. After saying that, I remembered Lu Huayu's cold gaze when he banned sweets and reluctantly corrected myself. Less sugar for the Lu family's darling. It's truly blissful, just a bit lacking in boba tea. After that spa session filled with the scent of green tea, Xia Yanran disappeared from my sight for half a month. I initially thought she had enlightened herself to the truth of life, realizing that the wealthy don't necessarily need to fight physically. They just need to buy the battlefield. Little did I know she hadn't disappeared. She was just recharging for a more grand reappearance. A charity gala invitation from the Qin family arrived at the Lu Villa one rainy afternoon. I was sitting on the carpet watching cartoons and eating diced mangoes. Lu Huayu sat beside me, processing documents, occasionally pushing the fruit plate towards me as if raising a rare species. The butler placed the invitation on the table. Young master, the Qin family invites the young master and madam to attend the gala this weekend. The moment I heard gala, I became vigilant. Elite galas are buffet-style dramas. The main course is champagne. The side dish is gossip. The dessert is a crying green tea. I popped a piece of mango into my mouth and shook my head decisively. I'm not going. Lu Huaiyu looked up. If you don't want to go, then don't. I was stunned. This easy to talk to. Just as I began to doubt if I had been swapped with someone my mother-in-law called. Her voice was gentle but incredibly lethal. Chow chow dear, just go and have some fun. I've prepared a beautiful dress for you, very loose and comfortable. It definitely won't show your belly. And it'll let those outsiders see clearly. Your daughter-in-law from the Liu family isn't someone they can just talk about. I perked up at the mention of a beautiful dress, my resolve wavering slightly. My mother-in-law continued with the knockout blow. If you feel tired, I'll gift you a hot spring resort to help you relax. I immediately sat up straight. Thank you, mother. I feel that modern women should bravely step out into society. Lu Huaiyu looked at me, a smile in his eyes. Who was it that said they weren't going just now? I replied seriously, that was the ignorant girl from 30 seconds ago. I've matured now. At the gala that night, I wore a cream-colored silk dress prepared by my mother-in-law. The design was loose and elegant, discreetly concealing my slightly rounding waistline and making me look as gentle as a flower nurtured by wealth. Lu Huaiyu stood by the door, looking at me for a long time, his gaze so deep it gave me goosebumps. I pulled at my skirt and turned halfway. Does it not look good? He walked over and fastened a diamond necklace around my neck himself. Beautiful. I looked at the sparkling diamond on my chest and my mood visibly improved. Is this borrowed for now? Do I have to return it after the party? It's yours. I looked at him with eyes full of gratitude. Lu Huaiyu, sometimes you're truly like love. The corner of his lips curved. Only sometimes. Most like it when transferring assets. He chuckled and took my hand to get into the car. The Chin family's gala was exactly as I had predicted. Blazing crystal lights, swirling champagne, dazzling dresses, and smiles so fake they could be packaged and sold wholesale. The moment I linked arms with Lu Huaiyu and walked in, the surrounding chatter immediately died down and all eyes fixed on me. There was curiosity, disdain, envy, and even undisguised regret. After all in their eyes, I was still the disgraced daughter of the Shen family, lucky enough to marry Lu Huaiyu, but incapable of producing an heir. Lu Huaiyu leaned down and asked, uncomfortable. I shook my head. No, I'm just calculating how many handbags the lady on the left could buy with the cost of her dress. He was silent for 2 seconds. You win. I was satisfied. A moment later, Lu Huaiyu was pulled away by several business partners for greetings. Before he left, he instructed me to stay put in the lounge area, not to drink alcohol, not to eat strange things, and not to listen to anyone's nonsense for more than 3 sentences. I really wanted to ask if the 4th sentence would be charged, but he had already signaled the server to bring me a cup of warm milk. My elegant Madame Lu image was immediately shattered by that cup of milk. As soon as Lu Huaiyu left, Xia Yanran appeared. Truly a professional green tea, her timing was more precise than a Swiss watch. She wore a form-fitting red dress, her makeup exquisite, and several wealthy young ladies accompanied her, creating an imposing aura. Sister Shen, long time no see. I looked at the cup of milk in my hand and sighed. Why is it that every time I'm about to eat or drink peacefully, you show up? Xia Yanran's smile stiffened. You're still as humorous as ever. It's just that there are many people around today. You should pay attention to your image. After all, you are Madame Lu in name. The emphasis on in name was clearly stressed by her. The young ladies behind her covered their mouths and giggled. I took a sip of milk. In name is still Madame. And you don't even have the name. Xia Yanran's face turned pale. She gripped her wineglass, her voice sweet, but her words full of thorns. Why do you have to attack me? I just pity Brother Huaiyu. He's so outstanding, yet he's gossiped about by the entire elite because of a rumor. If you truly love him, you should proactively leave so he can find someone who can share the burden of the family with him. I put down my milk cup. For example, you. Xia Yanran raised her chin. At least I don't find fault with his shortcomings. Even if he can't have children, I'm willing to be with him and adopt a child together. As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people immediately buzzed. I almost choked on my milk. So noble that the baby in my belly must want to clap with its tiny cells. Xia Yanran, seeing my silence, thought she had won and continued to press. And what about you? Besides spending his money, what else can you do? The Liu family is so large, are they really going to let a woman who can't have children hold the position of madam for life? Just as I was about to retort, a cold voice echoed from behind her. Who said my wife can't have children? The crowd immediately fell silent. Lu Huaiyu walked over, a thin shawl in his hand. He didn't look at Xia Yanran at all, directly draping the shawl over my shoulders and telling me to sit still. Why are you standing so long? I whispered. I was blocked. His gaze now swept over Xia Yanran so cold that she unconsciously took a step back. Why, you? What did you just call me? His voice was not loud, but was enough to chill the surrounding area. Xia Yanran's face turned pale. Mr. Lu. Lu Huayu took my hand, his thumb gently stroking the back of my hand. While everyone is here, I'll make it clear once and for all. He looked around, and the music in the hall seemed to fade. My wife Shen Chao is pregnant with the heir of the Lu family. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The entire hall erupted. Someone's wine glass fell to the floor, shattering. Xia Yanran stood frozen, her beautiful face completely drained of color. Impossible, she muttered. But you can't. Lu Huayu interrupted. The rumors are nonsense. I'm too lazy to explain. But from today onwards, anyone who dares to use that to attack my wife will be confronting the Lu Corporation. He paused, his eyes sharp as knives, especially towards the young Miss Xia. Xia Yanran staggered back, her eyes red. The people accompanying her immediately dispersed, fearing they would be implicated. Just now, she was so noble talking about adopting a child with Lu Huayu. Now the biological father openly had a child, and the slap was so loud I felt embarrassed on her behalf. I tugged lightly on Lu Huayu's sleeve. Is it okay for you to announce it publicly like this? He leaned down to look at me, his voice softening considerably. To stop you from being spoken about anymore. My heart suddenly softened, but I quickly remembered something more important. So, will my allowance increase from tomorrow, based on my status as the mother of the heir? Lu Huayu looked at me for a few seconds, then chuckled softly. It will. I immediately felt relieved. That shocking public announcement quickly spread throughout the entire banquet. Those who had looked at me with pity were now filled with respect, envy, flattery, and even a hint of regret for not having clung to me sooner. Xia Yanran couldn't bear the mocking glances around her and ran out of the banquet hall covering her face. I watched her figure disappear, took a sip of warm milk. Green tea exits prenatal milk wins. Tonight's meal was indeed more satisfying. The news of my pregnancy with the Lu family's heir spread faster than my card swipes at the mall. Overnight, the attitude of Beijing's elite towards me changed completely. Before they looked at me like a discounted item, the Shen family was pushing off onto the Lu family to save their company. Now those gazes had transformed into respect, envy, flattery, and a touch of regret for not having courted me sooner. My phone buzzed incessantly from morning to noon. The ladies who had once insinuated I couldn't have children began sending messages asking about my health. The young ladies who had once mocked me as a decorative vase were now enthusiastically inviting me for afternoon tea. Even the spa manager from before sent a lifetime comprehensive prenatal care package along with wishes for my and the baby's health. I lay on the sofa in the Lu family's living room. In one hand, I held my phone, and in the other, I picked up a piece of diced strawberry. Beside me, Lu Huayu was meticulously peeling an apple for me with a small, gleaming knife. The scene was harmonious. If you ignore the 4 bodyguards standing 3 meters away and the nutritionist staring intently at my fruit plate, I sighed. Lu Huayu. I feel like I've lost my freedom. He was slicing apples into perfectly uniform pieces. What freedom do you want to regain? For example, eating a cold piece of mango. No. Then drinking boba tea? No. Eating spicy hot pot. He placed the apple plate in front of me, his expression calmly cruel. You choose. Eat an apple or listen to me read the gestational diabetes control report. I immediately picked up my fork and took an apple. Apples are delicious. Just then, the butler walked in. Young Master, Madam, Mr. Shen and Miss Shen have arrived. They say they want to visit Madam. The piece of apple in my mouth suddenly lost its taste. The Shen family truly has a keen sense for profit. They wanted to sell me off to save the company, and now they showed up to claim kinship. I chewed slowly and asked, what did they bring? Not the kind from the Lu family's pantry. I see. Common goods trying to enter the gates of the wealthy, putting on a show of filial piety. Lu Huayu wiped his hands and said indifferently, if you don't want to see them, I'll have them turned away. I thought for a moment, then put down my spoon. Let them in. After all, they should know how much money fish smells like. Lu Huayu looked at me, the corner of his lips slightly curved. Don't be angry. Don't worry, my pregnant belly and I are very valuable right now. We won't be affected by 2 boxes of goods that have depreciated in market value. 5 minutes later, Shen Zhendong and Shen Wan entered the living room. My father was dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, his hair slicked back and a smile on his face so benevolent it made one's skin crawl. Shen Wan followed behind him wearing a soft white dress, lightly made up her eyes red-rimmed. If I hadn't known better, I would have thought she had been crying for 3 days missing her sister. Chow, chow, my father called me with feigned affection as soon as he saw me. I heard you were pregnant and was so happy I couldn't sleep all night. My dear child, why didn't you tell us about such a big event? I leaned back on the sofa, lazily replying, I was afraid if I told you too early, you'd start calculating how much investment capital this pregnancy could fetch. His smile froze. Shenwan quickly stepped forward, her eyes welling up. Sister, how can you speak to father like that? Father truly worries about you. Ever since he learned you were pregnant, father told me to choose a gift very carefully. I glanced at the gift boxes on the table. Did choosing so carefully mean they bought discounted items? Shen Wan's face turned pale. Lu Huaiyu sat beside me, saying nothing, but his chilling aura made both father and daughter of the Shen family hesitate to lash out. Shen Zhendong cleared his throat and quickly changed the subject. Chiao, father may have wronged you before, but we are family after all. Now that you're living so well, father is at ease. It's just that the Shen Corporation has been facing some difficulties lately. If Mr. Lu could. My father was about to sing praises when Lu Huaiyu interrupted him. Mr. Shen, are you visiting your daughter or the Lu family's money? Shen Zhendong's face turned red, then pale. Shen Wan bit her lip, her gaze suddenly shifting to Lu Huaiyu. She stepped forward, her voice sweeter than honey. Brother-in-law, my sister is pregnant, so her temper might be unpredictable. Father is just worried about her, so please don't misunderstand. I watched her performance and almost wanted to applaud. Just now, it was father-daughter affection, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a scene of a gentle and understanding sister-in-law. Shen Wan was wearing a low-cut dress today, her perfume so strong that I could feel nauseous even from several meters away. She leaned forward to pour tea for Lu Huaiyu, her collar slipping down quite skillfully. Brother-in-law, my sister is currently heavy with child, so she's definitely not in a condition to take good care of you. If you don't mind, I can come over often to keep her company, and perhaps help with some chores around the house. I picked up my teacup and took a slow sip. How clever. From keeping sister company to taking care of brother-in-law, this path is shorter than the distance from the sofa to the trash can. Shen Zhendong, seeing that Lu Huaiyu didn't immediately get angry, thought there was a chance and quickly chimed in. Yes, Wanwan has been thoughtful since she was young. If we let her stay to take care of Chow Chow, we can also be at ease. Lu Huaiyu finally looked up, his gaze falling on Shen Wan as indifferent as if he were appraising a defective product. What perfume are you wearing? Shen Wan froze, then blushed. It's a limited edition French scent. If you find it unpleasant. The air froze, and Shen Wan's delicate smile cracked. Lu Huaiyu took out a tissue and wiped his hands, his voice calm. Your cheap perfume makes my wife feel nauseous. I wanted to correct him that I wasn't actually nauseous, but seeing Shen Wan's pale face, I decided to enjoy it in silence. Shen Zhendong quickly said, Mr. Lu Wanwan is still young and doesn't understand things. Please don't take it to heart. About the investment. Lu Huaiyu threw the tissue into the trash can. Not only that, but from today onwards, all projects related to the Shen Corporation will be removed from the Lu Corporation's cooperation list. Shen Zhendong looked as if he had been struck by lightning. What did you say? Lu Huaiyu stood up and pulled me into his arms with a natural movement. You sold your daughter for profit once, and now you're trying to sell your younger daughter to me. Mr. Shen, is your family so poor that you only know how to trade daughters? Shen Zhendong's face turned crimson. You are my son-in-law. I am not worthy of being your father-in-law. Lu Huaiyu's voice turned cold. Butler, escort our guests out. After they left, and the living room was disinfected, Shen Wan burst into tears on the spot. Brother-in-law, I truly wanted to help sister. Lu Huaiyu didn't even look at her. If you call me that again, I will have all of the Shen Corporation's supply lines shut down today. Shen Wan's sobs choked in her throat. 2 bodyguards politely but firmly escorted the father and daughter out. Shen Zhendong was still unwilling. He turned back to look at me. Chow Chow, do you really want to see the Shen Corporation collapse? I looked at him. In the past, I used to wish you would look at me like a real daughter, but you only saw my exchange value. Now, even that last sliver of hope has cooled completely. I said very softly, Father, the day you pushed me onto the wedding carriage, the Shen Corporation in my heart had already collapsed. Shen Zhendong stood frozen. The large door closed and the noise disappeared outside. The living room became quiet again. Lu Huaiyu looked down at me. Upset, I leaned against his shoulder and was silent for a moment. A little, He stroked my hair. Do you want to cry? Let me think about it. Does crying increase my allowance? Lu Huayu chuckled softly. It does. I immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Then I'm not too sad. He hugged me tighter, his voice low but firm. Shen Qiao, from now on the Lu family is your home. No one will bully you anymore. I smelled the familiar cedarwood scent on him. This time, for some reason, I felt a great sense of peace. Outside, the Shen family, who had brought gifts to claim kinship, were ultimately thrown out along with their dirty calculations. As for me, sitting in Lu Huayu's arms, I suddenly realized that this decorative vase position seemed to be becoming less and less like a job. After being expelled from the villa by Lu Huayu, the Shen family became notorious. Not in a glorious way, but in a way that as soon as they opened their mouths, the entire elite knew they had sold their elder daughter and then tried to lure their son-in-law with their younger one. The gossip spread so fast, I suspected there was a junior entertainment reporter among Lu Huayu's bodyguards. In the morning, I was sitting in the dining room eating bird's nest porridge and reading messages in the ladies' group chat. One lady sent continuous shocked emojis, unable to believe the Shen family was so brazen. Another immediately chimed in. Shen Wan used to pretend to be so pure. Who knew she'd target her brother-in-law? Shen Zhendong really hit a steel plate this time. Mr. Lu is furious. Can the Shen Corporation survive? I looked at the messages, not feeling as happy as I expected. If it were in the past, I would have been laughing my head off. But now, seeing the Shen family ridiculed by the world, there was a small void in my heart. Not pity, just a sense of amusement at my past self. I once truly wished they would treat me like family. In the end, all I received was a sell-off marriage. Lu Huayu, sitting opposite me, put down his financial newspaper. You're eating so little. I lowered my gaze to my bowl of porridge, which was more than half full, and lost my appetite. He frowned. Are you uncomfortable? I stirred the porridge with my spoon, my voice light. I was just thinking if my mother were still alive, she probably wouldn't have let them sell me so easily. The dining room fell silent. My mother passed away when I was 10 years old. After that, Shen Zhendong brought my stepmother and Shen Wan into the house. From that day on, I gradually became an outsider in my own home. Lu Huayu stood up and walked to my side. He didn't offer any hollow words of comfort, but instead placed a small wooden box in front of me. I looked up. What is it? Your mother's belongings. My spoon-holding hand froze. I opened the box. Inside was an antique pearl hairpin, a slightly faded photograph, and some property deeds. In the photo, my mother was still very young, holding me as a child in the garden. She was smiling gently, and I, chubby like a sticky rice cake, was clutching her dress tightly, unwilling to let go. My eyes stung. Where did you get this? Did you investigate? Lu Huayu sat down beside me, his voice low. That year, your mother brought a large sum of capital into the Shen family. Half of the Shen Corporation's development was thanks to her money and connections. After she passed away, Shen Zhendong found a way to transfer all the assets to his name. I tightened my grip on the photo, my throat constricting. So, the money they used to support Shen Wan to buy her clothes and jewelry to maintain their hollow facade of prestige originally belonged in part to my mother. And in the end, they used me to exchange for capital to save the company. It was so ludicrous, I didn't know whether to cry or curse. Lu Huayu handed me a tissue. Do you want to take it back? I looked at him. How? He replied calmly. The Shen Corporation is currently facing severe capital shortages. Banks are starting to tighten lending and several major shareholders are wavering. If you want to reclaim it, I can make Shen Zhendong lose control within 3 days. I was stunned. You say acquiring a corporation in 3 days as if you're deciding whether to eat an apple or a pear this afternoon. Have you prepared it? Yes. Before they came to our house yesterday, even before you married into the Lu family. I stiffened. Lu Huayu looked at me, his eyes deeper. Shen Qiao, I not only want to marry you, but I also want to return what rightfully belongs to you. My heart felt a gentle tap, not painful, but it lingered for a long time. I lowered my head, looked at the photo of my mother, and took a deep breath. Then take it back. My voice was not loud, but very clear. It wasn't out of a desire for revenge, but simply because it was my mother's belongings. Why should they keep them? Lu Huayu nodded slightly. All right. For the next 3 days, I will witness the terrifying power of true capitalism with my own eyes. On the first day, news spread that several major partners had terminated their contracts with the Shen Corporation. On the second day, the bank demanded the Shen Corporation provide additional collateral, and internal shareholders began to flee. On the third day, Shen Zhendong was cornered during a shareholder meeting. As for me, I sat in the Lu family's villa peeling and eating grapes while listening to Lu Huayu's assistant report. Madam at Des. 00 a.m. today, Mr. Lu completed the acquisition of shares from 3 major shareholders. Combined with the debt-to-equity conversion control of the Shen Corporation, now belongs to you. I swallowed a grapeseed. Belongs to me. The assistant respectfully placed a thick folder in front of me. Yes. These are the ownership transfer documents. Mr. Lu has transferred all acquired shares to Madam. I lowered my head and looked at my name on the contract. Shen Qiao. Those 3 words were clearly positioned as the owner, so clear that I was stunned. The company my father used me to exchange for capital to save its life ultimately fell into my hands. Life truly comes full circle. The wheel of fate grinds everyone down equally. Lu Huayu walked in from outside, still in his work suit, the cold air of the outside clinging to his shoulders. Seeing me staring blankly at the contract, he walked over and asked, "You don't like it?" I looked up. "Did you really buy the Shen Corporation?" "Yes." "And transferred it to you?" "Yes." "Do you know that company is currently an empty shell?" "Yes." "Then why did you buy it?" Lu Huayu chuckled, throwing his coat to a staff member, his voice indifferent. "To let you play with." I was speechless. "You rich people play with very dangerous toys." He sat down beside me and offered a peeled grape to my lips. "If you want to keep it, I'll have people restructure it. If you want to sell it, sell it. If you want to rename it, demolish it, and build a shopping mall or donate it, it's all up to you." I bit the grape, its sweetness spreading across my tongue. "Then what about Shen Zhendong? He's been removed from the board of directors. His personal debts still exist. The Shen family's villa has also been foreclosed by the bank." I fell silent. Lu Huayu looked at me. Seeing me act so ruthlessly, I shook my head. It's just a little amusing. Amusing what he sold me to save the Shen Corporation. In the end, the Shen Corporation still fell into my hands. If he had known the outcome, he probably would have treated me a little better. Lu Huayu gently stroked my head. "No need to feel sorry. Someone who treats you well only for profit is not worthy of your remembrance." I looked at him. "Then what about you?" He paused slightly. "What do you mean?" I continued. "Why are you treating me so well?" The living room fell silent. Lu Huayu looked at me for a long time. His eyes were no longer cold as when he was handling business, nor were they teasing as usual. They were deep and serious, making me instinctively hold my breath. "Because you are Shen Qiao." 5 words. Not flowery, no grand romantic promises, but I felt my heart melt. I quickly lowered my head, pretending to study the contract to hide my flushed ears. "Then I've made my decision. Decided what the Shen Corporation will be renamed. Qiao Sheng. The portion of capital that belonged to my mother, I will establish a charity fund under her name, and all the shady business dealings of Shen Zhendong will be cut off." Lu Huayu nodded. "Okay, I'll have the legal team assist you." I looked at the folder in my hand and suddenly felt that I was no longer the girl who was forced onto a wedding carriage that day. The things that had once trapped me were now in my grasp. This feeling was more exhilarating than buying a limited edition handbag. Late that night, my phone received many calls from Shen Zhendong. I didn't answer. He sent long messages, sometimes admitting fault, sometimes reminiscing about father-daughter bonds, sometimes accusing me of being heartless. After reading them, I simply replied, "My mother's belongings, I'm taking them back. As for the father-daughter relationship between us, it ended the day you sold me." After sending the message, I turned off my phone. Lu Huayu stood by the window and looked back at me. Crying, I touched my dry eyes and shook my head. "No, I'm happy." He walked over and hugged me. "Happy is good." I buried my face in his chest, my voice growing smaller. "Lu Huayu, thank you." His arms tightened slightly. "No need for thanks. My wife's assets should naturally be returned to my wife." I pursed my lips involuntarily curving upwards. "All right, from today onwards, besides money, perhaps I have gained something else worth trusting. For example, the man holding me." 4 months into my pregnancy, I was so healthy that the entire Lu family medical team doubted the diagnostic equipment. No morning sickness, no dizziness, no insomnia, good appetite, sound, sleep, glowing skin, and cheerful spirit. Except for my slightly rounder waistline and Lu Huayu's inhumane ban on boba tea, my life was almost perfect. My mother-in-law watched me finish 2 bowls of bird's nest porridge, so touched that she immediately called the chef to reward him with a bonus. Grandpa Lu walked around the living room 3 times with his cane, happily saying, "My daughter-in-law truly has a lucky aura. She's as radiant as a flower even when pregnant. Only one person is not well. Lu Huayu." I didn't notice it at first. After all, this man was very good at maintaining his image. Whether on the negotiating table or when the sky seemed to be falling, he could maintain a cold expression and sign contracts as if choosing a tie. but secrets always come to light. That day, the chef made steamed fish with ginger sauce. The aroma had just wafted into the dining room, and before I could even pick up my chopsticks, Lu Huaiyu, sitting opposite me, suddenly froze, his face turning as pale as paper. I blinked. "What's wrong?" He put down his napkin, his voice still very calm. "Nothing." 3 seconds later, the CEO, who claimed to be fine, suddenly stood up and quickly walked into the restroom. The sound of retching came from behind the door. The entire dining table fell into an awkward silence. I looked at the fragrant steamed fish, then at the restroom door, and a rather unsympathetic thought flashed in my mind. Could it be that the fish, upon seeing him, felt pressured and counterattacked? The private doctor was quickly summoned. After a thorough examination, he adjusted his glasses, his expression a mixture of seriousness and a desire to laugh. "Mr. Lu has no major issues. This could be sympathetic pregnancy syndrome. Simply put, the husband, due to excessive worry and concern for his pregnant wife, is experiencing symptoms similar to morning sickness." I sat nearby, almost spitting out my water. Lu Huaiyu looked at the doctor coldly. "Are you sure?" The doctor immediately stood up straight. "Absolutely. This situation, while not very common, does exist." I hugged my belly, laughing so hard my shoulders shook. "The one who's sick isn't me, it's my husband. Heaven is indeed fair. It's not for nothing that he banned my boba tea. He finally knew how to punish the right person." From that day on, Lu Huaiyu's life officially entered a flavorful hell. "I ate fish," he vomited. "I ate braised pork." He frowned. "I opened a bag of grilled crab-flavored chips." He who was in an online meeting in his study could still push the door open and come out with a pale face. "Shen Kiao." I'm crunching on chips on the sofa. I immediately hid the bag behind my back. "It's not that I'm eating, it's that the baby wants to hear crisp sounds to develop its hearing." He looked at me, the deep circles under his eyes clearly showing fatigue. "The baby is only 4 months old. Prenatal education should start early with chips diversifying education." He closed his eyes, seemingly trying to suppress the urge to vomit and the urge to confiscate all my snacks. In the end, Lu Huaiyu lost. He turned and went into the restroom. I hugged the bag of chips, looking at his tall but pathetic figure. A slight pang of pity arose in my heart. Very slight, smaller than the crumbs of chips on my hand. It wasn't just at home. His CEO image was also at risk of collapse at the corporation. Assistant Chen secretly told me that during a high-level meeting, Lu Huaiyu was analyzing a multi-billion-dollar acquisition project with a cold expression. The entire conference room held its breath, just as a department director stood up to report the strong scent of perfume wafted over. Lu Huaiyu was silent for 2 seconds, then put down his pen and stood up, leaving the conference room with a pale face. 10 minutes later, rumors spread throughout the corporation. "Mr. Lu has a terminal illness. No, he must have been poisoned by rivals. I heard Mr. Lu has already drafted his will." I listened and laughed so hard I almost rolled off the sofa. Lu Huaiyu sat beside me, his expression indifferent. "It's very funny." I immediately became serious. "It's not funny, I'm just practicing my postpartum abdominal exercises in advance." He glanced at me. I obediently offered him a slice of apple. "Want some?" He looked at the apple as if it were an arch nemesis. Not good. The man who once forced me to eat steamed greens was now unable to eat an apple. That night it was raining heavily. I lay propped against the headboard reading the list of baby supplies sent by my mother-in-law. Each item listed a price that would make an ordinary person need to breathe with an oxygen tank. Lu Huaiyu lay beside me, his face still slightly pale, the dark circles under his eyes more pronounced than in previous days. He was originally a person who cared immensely about his image. Now his hair was slightly disheveled, his collar was unbuttoned, and his entire being exuded a rare weariness. I watched him for a while, my heart softening. Still feeling uncomfortable, he closed his eyes. "It's nothing." The same answer. I put down my tablet, leaned closer, and gently stroked his hair. The moment I did so, I myself was stunned. Before, he always stroked my head. This time, the feeling was unfamiliar but not unpleasant. Lu Huaiyu opened his eyes and looked at me. The bedside lamp cast a gentle glow in the depths of his eyes. "You pity me." I cleared my throat. "Of course, you're the one transferring money to support me." The corner of his lips curved slightly. Just that I avoided his gaze and pulled my legs up. "I'm also the father of this little bean." His hand rested on my belly so lightly it was as if he were afraid of hurting me. The room fell silent again, with only the sound of rain falling outside the window. After a while, he suddenly said, "Shen Kiao, before you came, this house was very quiet." I looked at him. "Isn't quiet good? Too quiet, it's like a hotel." His voice deepened. Since I was young, my parents were always busy. Grandpa was strict, the staff were respectful, but no one ever truly asked if I was happy today. Later, when I took over the Lou Corporation, all I had around me were contracts, benefits, and people trying to curry favor with me. I fell silent. He looked at my belly, his fingers lightly tracing over the blanket. You are different. You'll be upset with me for half a day over a cup of forbidden boba tea. You'll be happy to the point of dreaming when you buy a new handbag. You'll say you're fine when the Shen family hurts you, but you'll secretly wait for me for a long time in the middle of the night. My heart suddenly tightened. So he knew everything. Lu Huayu turned to look at me. Since you arrived, this place has finally felt like a home. The rain outside the window fell harder, but in my heart something quietly melted away. I slowly lay down beside him, wrapping my arms around his waist. Then I'll try to make your home more lively from now on. He hugged me tighter. You just need to stay. I buried my face in his chest, my voice barely audible. Lu Huayu. After this, I'll try to spend less of your money. He was silent for 2 seconds, then chuckled softly. No need. The more you spend, the more reassured I am. Why? Because it proves you're not planning to run off with the money. I was so embarrassed I lightly punched his chest. That was a long time ago. Yes, but I remember it very clearly. He leaned down and kissed my hair lightly. Thank you for not succeeding in your escape that night. My nose stung slightly. I hugged him tighter, deliberately speaking in a fierce tone to hide the emotions in my heart. Since you know I'm important, you can't ban boba tea too much from now on. No. Lu Huayu could be replaced with nut milk with boba tea flavor. You really have no humanity. He chuckled softly, his hand resting on my belly and the little bean inside. The rain outside continued to fall. But this room for the first time made me feel like I wasn't just a decorative vase with a salary. I had a real family. In my final month of pregnancy, I officially became the Lu family's walking treasure. It's not accurate to say walking because the moment I stood up from the sofa, at least 3 people would rush to help me. Grandpa Lu, leaning on his cane, directed the staff to lay soft carpets throughout the villa. My mother-in-law changed the prenatal diet menu 3 times a day, looking at my belly with even more tenderness than she looked at her own son. And Lu Huayu was even more excessive. He canceled some of his business trips and moved his office next to the bedroom. Every time I moved, he would immediately open his eyes as if equipped with radar. One night I just sighed and he sat up abruptly. Where does it hurt? I replied drowsily. It doesn't hurt. I was dreaming of boba tea. He was silent for 3 seconds, then pulled the blanket up to cover me. I'll let you have half a cup tomorrow. I immediately woke up. With pearls? His love always had very clear boundaries. The day of delivery arrived on a beautiful sunny afternoon. At that time, I was sitting on the sofa in the living room holding a tablet, watching cartoons in one hand and secretly nibbling on a piece of cold mango that the sympathetic young chef had hidden for me in the other. The moment the mango touched my tongue, I was so happy I wanted to cry. In the next second, my lower abdomen contracted. I froze and looked down at my nightgown. A stream of warm liquid flowed onto the carpet. I looked at the mango in my hand, regretfully bit off the remaining part, and then called out towards the study. Lu Huai, you. I think my water broke. Crash. The sound of a chair falling echoed. Less than 2 seconds later, Lu Huayu rushed out. The face of the CEO, who once made the entire board of directors tremble, was now as pale as paper. He looked at me, then at the carpet, then at my belly. Does it hurt? Are you having trouble breathing? Where's the doctor? Car, first people next. I held up the mango, still dripping with juice. Don't talk. Conserve your strength. He scooped me up, his voice so strained it was almost cracking. Don't talk anymore. Conserve your strength. The entire villa immediately descended into chaos. The butler called the hospital. My mother-in-law was crying while holding the hospital bag, and Grandpa Lu ran after us, almost tripping on the soft carpet he himself had ordered to be laid. I was put into the car within 3 minutes. By the time the car drove out of the gate, I looked down at Lu Huayu's feet. On one side was a shiny black leather shoe, and on the other was my pink cotton slipper. I winced in pain, but still chuckled. Lu Huayu, you're so dignified. He looked down, his expression even more distraught. Don't look. It's forbidden. This scene must be remembered for a lifetime. He held my hand tightly, his voice hoarse. Remember whatever you want, as long as you are safe. The smile on my lips slowly softened. The Lu family's private hospital had been prepared in advance. The moment I was brought into the VIP delivery room, the team of doctors took their positions. The pain came in waves so strong that I had no mind to think about cold mangoes or black cards anymore. Lu Huayu, wearing sterile clothing, stood beside me, holding my hand. His hands were cold as ice. Clearly, I was the one in pain, but he looked like he was about to faint. The chief physician gently instructed me on breathing techniques. Lu Huayu heard a few sentences and suddenly grabbed the doctor's sleeve, his eyes red, his voice trembling visibly. Remember this. No matter what happens, prioritize protecting the mother. I only need her to be safe. The doctor's face turned ashen with fear. I was in so much pain I wanted to kick him. Gritting my teeth, I scolded. Let go of the doctor. If you scare him into shaking his hands, I'll be in danger. Lu Huayu immediately let go. He leaned down and kissed my forehead, his voice hoarse. Sorry, I'm scared. Those two words made my eyes sting amidst the pain. The man who feared nothing in the world was now scared enough to wear the wrong slippers and have ice-cold hands. All because I was in the delivery room. I squeezed his hand. I'll be fine and so will the baby. 3 hours later, the sound of a baby crying echoed in the delivery room. The clear, healthy sound seemed to tear through all the tension that had weighed down the air. Congratulations, mister. Lu, congratulations, madam. It's a very healthy baby boy. The nurse brought over the baby wrapped in soft blankets. Lu Huayu didn't look at the child immediately. He leaned down and kissed my forehead again and again. Shenqiao, you've worked hard. His voice was so hoarse it was almost breaking. We're only having one child, no more. I'm too tired to even open my eyes, but I still managed to mumble. Then the childbearing bonus. He chuckled, his eyes red. It's all yours. Go back to sleep now. When I woke up, I was in a high-class private room. The faint scent of flowers filled the room. The curtains were half drawn, and the gentle light fell on the small crib beside me. Lu Huayu sat by the bed, one hand holding mine, the other resting on the crib railing. Seeing me open my eyes, he immediately leaned down. Still hurting? Yes. He frowned. I'll call the doctor. I'll hold your hand. No need. Let me show you the baby. Lu Huayu was silent for 2 seconds, his expression slightly complex. The nurse brought the baby closer. The baby was pink and wrinkled, its eyes slightly shut, its tiny mouth opening and closing as if dreaming of milk. I looked for a while, my heart softening to the point of melting. So cute. Lu Huayu leaned down to look at his newborn son, his brow furrowed. Ugly. I glared at him. Say that again. He immediately corrected himself. Very potential for good looks. The nurse bowed her head, suppressing a smile. Lu Huayu gently touched his son's tiny hand. The baby instinctively grasped his finger, and his usual cold expression softened significantly. Let's name him Lu Yi, I asked. Yi as in wings, yes. He looked at me. I hope he can be free, not bound by any family or interests. I smiled faintly. Much better than his father. Lu Huayu leaned down and kissed my hand lightly. His father already has you, so he's freer than before. A year later, Lu Yi was already learning to walk and babble. The boy inherited Lu Huayu's deep eyes, but when he was hungry, his temper was like mine, wailing with gusto. Also in that year, Lu Huayu organized another wedding for me, not the hasty alliance of the past, but a real wedding. The ceremony was held in an ancient castle in Europe. White roses covered the aisle, crystal chandeliers hung high, and guests came from all over to attend. I wore a diamond-encrusted wedding dress holding a bouquet of lily of the valley and walked towards the man waiting for me under the floral arch. Lu Huayu wore a black suit, his eyes fixed only on me. When I reached him, all the surrounding noise seemed to recede. He took my hand, held the microphone, and said to all the guests, "For our first marriage, I used a rumor to trick her into my side. This time I want to use my entire life to make up for it." The hall was silent. He turned to look at me, his voice deep and clear. "From today onwards, all my personal assets, shares, and real estate registered under Lu Huayu's name will be transferred to my wife Shen Qiao. From now on, I will only be an employee of Madame Shen." The entire hall gasped. I looked at him, my heart pounding so fast I forgot to react. He leaned down, his voice audible only to me. "Madame Shen, I'll be relying on you for the rest of my life." I chuckled, my eyes moistening slightly. "Based on your performance, I won't be supporting a useless person." He chuckled softly and kissed me amidst a shower of rose petals. In the front row, Lu Yi, held in his grandmother's arms, clapped his hands loudly as if quite pleased with his father's official loss of status. I closed my eyes, feeling Lu Huayu's gentle kiss. That day, I thought I was being sold into a cold marriage. Later, I realized that Golden Door wasn't a cage. It was where someone waited with his entire fortune, his patience, and a lifetime of clumsy love for me to step in. And I, the money-loving decorative vase of yesteryear, finally obtained the most precious thing. A true family of my own.